Welcome back to the channel World Coins Master, where we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins that continue to amaze collectors and enthusiasts alike. Today, we're going to uncover the jaw-dropping details behind a particular coin that might just change the way you look at pocket change forever. This episode takes a closer look at a 1967 Washington quarter, a coin with an ordinary appearance but an extraordinary backstory, and how one of these coins reached a staggering estimated worth of $21 million due to a unique combination of minting errors, anomalies, and historical context. Stay with us as we unravel the story of a coin that transformed from a mere 25-cent piece into one of the most coveted numismatic treasures in the world. The 1967 Washington quarter is a fascinating piece in American numismatic history. At first glance, it looks like any other quarter you might find in your change jar. However, there are a few exceptional examples of this coin that stand apart due to extremely rare minting errors and anomalies. While millions of 1967 quarters were produced and are still in circulation today, it's these scarce variants that have propelled the value of some individual coins into the millions. The case we're focusing on involves one such 1967 quarter that stunned collectors when it was revealed to carry a value of $21 million. So how did a standard-issue coin from the 1960s become one of the most valuable coins ever discovered? To understand the magnitude of this coin's worth, we first have to consider the historical backdrop of its creation. The year 1967 was an interesting time in U.S. minting history. Just 2 years earlier, in 1965, the U.S. Mint had stopped using silver in quarters due to the rising cost of silver and a national coin shortage. This changeover marked the end of an era and introduced a new clad composition of copper and nickel, a significant departure from the 90% silver quarters minted prior to 1965. By 1967, the Mint was in full swing producing these new clad quarters, but the transition was not without issues. During this period, the Mint was under pressure to produce coins quickly and efficiently to meet national demand. As a result, quality control took a hit, and this is where opportunities for errors arose. Mint employees were operating under strained conditions, machines were running constantly, and mistakes were bound to happen. These mistakes, while unintentional, have given rise to some of the most valuable coin specimens known to collectors today. One of the most significant features that sets the $21 million 1967 quarter apart is a unique and rare minting error. This coin is believed to have been struck on a 90% silver planchet, likely a leftover blank from the pre-1965 era. Such an error would not only be rare but almost impossible to replicate, making this specimen incredibly unique. The combination of a silver planchet being used during a time when the Mint was supposed to be using clad materials already raises the rarity factor exponentially. Experts who have examined the coin also noted unusual weight characteristics. A normal 1967 quarter should weigh approximately 5.67 grams due to its clad composition. However, the $21 million specimen was found to weigh around 6.25 grams, aligning it more closely with the pre-1965 silver quarters. This discrepancy was one of the first red flags that led to a deeper investigation. Under microscopic analysis, the coin's edge also lacked the visible copper core that is standard in clad coins, further supporting the idea that it was struck on a silver planchet. But the intrigue doesn't end there. Another key feature of this coin is its exceptional strike quality. It is what numismatists refer to as a full strike, meaning all the design elements, from Washington's hair details to the feathers on the eagle on the reverse, are sharply defined. This level of detail suggests that the coin may have been struck using fresh dies or possibly even experimental dies that were not meant for mass production. The crispness and clarity of the design add another layer of rarity and appeal for collectors. In addition to the striking error and planchet anomaly, this coin also exhibits a peculiar issue with its mint mark, or rather, its lack thereof. From 1965 to 1967, the U.S. Mint did not place mint marks on any coins to discourage hoarding by collectors. While this was standard for the period, there have been rumors and unverified reports of certain 1967 quarters bearing ghost-like impressions or residual mint marks, likely the result of die polishing errors or reused dies. If the $21 million quarter displays even the faintest sign of such an anomaly, it adds yet another layer of uniqueness, given the official stance of no mint marks during those years. Minting errors and planchet anomalies are not the only reasons this coin has reached such an astronomical value. The provenance of the coin also plays a critical role in its appraisal. This particular specimen is said to have surfaced from a private collection, hidden away for decades and only recently rediscovered. The story behind how it was found, tucked inside a family heirloom box or slipped between the pages of an old book, adds mystique and allure, enhancing its appeal to high-end collectors willing to pay premium prices for history they can hold in their hands. Additionally, the coin has undergone rigorous third-party authentication and grading. It received a near-perfect grade from one of the most respected grading agencies in the world. Grading is essential in the numismatic world, as it gives buyers confidence in what they are purchasing. A high grade ensures not only the coin's authenticity but also its preservation, both critical factors in determining its value. But how does a coin jump from being worth 25 cents to being appraised at $21 million? It's a combination of several factors converging in one coin. First, the rarity stemming from a planchet and minting error. Second, the historical significance of the transitional period in minting practices. Third, the quality and condition of the coin itself. Fourth, the documented provenance and story that adds human interest. And finally, the intense demand from a competitive market of elite collectors who are constantly seeking the next big piece for their collection. We also need to consider the psychological and emotional impact of such a coin. For many collectors, owning a rare coin is not just about investment, it's about legacy. A one-of-a-kind piece like the $21 million 1967 quarter is more than metal. It represents a tangible link to history, a frozen moment in time that can never be recreated. This sense of uniqueness and historical gravitas amplifies its value in ways that transcend simple economics. There have also been multiple attempts to locate similar specimens since this coin was brought into the spotlight. Coin enthusiasts, hobbyists, and professional numismatists have combed through rolls of 1967 quarters, hoping to find another like it. While a few have surfaced with minor errors or slightly heavier weights, none have matched the precise combination of factors found in the $21 million coin. This scarcity only reinforces its position as a once-in-a-generation find. Interestingly, this quarter has also sparked discussions within the numismatic community about the possibility of other transitional errors from the same era. The period between 1965 and 1967 was turbulent for the mint, and many believe that there could be other coins out there, quarters, dimes, even nickels, that were struck with unintended materials or using incorrect dies. The challenge, however, is in identifying these anomalies, as most collectors would simply overlook a coin that looks relatively ordinary. This story also highlights the importance of education and awareness in the world of coin collecting. Too often, rare coins are lost, spent, or sold for a fraction of their value simply because their owners didn't know what they had. The 1967 Washington quarter worth $21 million serves as a powerful reminder that extraordinary finds are still possible and that even the most unassuming coin in your pocket could be a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. Collectors and investors alike are now paying closer attention to coins from the 1960s, particularly those struck during transitional periods or under unusual circumstances. Auction houses have reported increased interest and record bids on other era coins as a result of the media attention generated by the $21 million quarter. It's safe to say that this single coin has reshaped how people view era coins, and its impact on the market is both significant and ongoing. As the search for similar coins continues, so does the conversation about what truly makes a coin valuable. Is it the metal content, the era, the story, the rarity? In the case of the 1967 Washington quarter that sold for $21 million, it's all of these factors and more. It's a perfect storm of historical significance, physical anomaly, aesthetic perfection, and provenance, all wrapped into one small but mighty piece of American history. So, if you're ever tempted to dismiss that quarter you found in a drawer or the change you got at the store, think again. Take a closer look. That ordinary coin might just hold an extraordinary story, just like the 1967 Washington quarter that shook the numismatic world and proved that even pocket change can be worth millions. Today, we're taking an in-depth look at the astonishing story of the 1973 Washington quarter, a coin that, under ordinary circumstances, is worth merely 25 cents, yet in rare and mysterious cases has been appraised and sold for up to $19 million. That's right, $19 million for a single $quarter coin. What could possibly make a coin of such a small face value soar to such astronomical heights in the collector's market? The answer lies in a mix of rare minting errors, historical context, mint mark anomalies, and collector demand that together transformed this otherwise common coin into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American currency since 1932, when it was introduced to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design has remained relatively consistent over the decades, with only subtle modifications, making any major errors or abnormalities in minting especially noticeable and historically significant. The 1973 edition of the Washington quarter was minted in high numbers, with coins struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. Under normal circumstances, most of these coins have long since circulated, worn down by decades of use, or collected in modest condition by enthusiasts. However, a tiny handful of 1973 quarters have surfaced that exhibit peculiar features that catapult their value into the millions. To understand why a 1973 quarter can be worth $19 million, we need to look at the types of minting errors and anomalies that can occur during the coin production process. The United States Mint uses highly precise machinery to produce coins, but even this level of technology is not immune to flaws. A double die error, for example, occurs when a coin is struck more than once with slight misalignment. This can result in doubling of text, numbers, or other features on the coin. In the case of some 1973 quarters, collectors have discovered double die obverse errors that show clear doubling in the word Liberty, the motto, In God We Trust, and even the date itself. These doubled elements can be faint or extremely bold, depending on the severity of the error, and their visibility significantly affects the coin's desirability and value. Another type of error that contributes to the high value of rare 1973 quarters is an off-center strike. This occurs when the coin blank is not properly centered within the minting press, resulting in an uneven or partially struck image. An off-center strike of more than 50%, especially if the coin still retains a visible date, can dramatically increase a coin's value. A 1973 quarter with a significant off-center strike, combined with high condition and a visible date, can attract intense interest from collectors who prize both rarity and the visual uniqueness such an error provides. Then there are broad strike errors. A broad strike occurs when the collar die, which normally confines the blank during the striking process, fails to engage. As a result, the coin is struck without the raised rim and often appears larger and flatter than normal. A 1973 quarter with a broad strike error is a rare and exciting find, especially when the coin is in uncirculated or mint state condition. These broad strike coins can look so unusual that even casual observers immediately notice something out of the ordinary. Among the most coveted varieties of the 1973 Washington quarter are those with mint mark errors. Mint marks are small letters placed on coins to indicate the U.S. mint facility where the coin was produced. In 1973, quarters were minted at Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver, D, and San Francisco, S. A missing mint mark where one should exist, a misplaced mint mark, or even a doubled mint mark can greatly elevate a coin's value. Some 1973 quarters have shown signs of an S mint mark over a D, or vice versa, resulting from the repunching of mint marks during the minting process. These, RPM, repunched mint mark, varieties are eagerly sought after by collectors and specialists in error coinage. Furthermore, some reports exist of 1973 quarters being struck on the wrong planchets. A planchet is the metal disc that is stamped to create a coin. Occasionally, a planchet intended for a different denomination such as a nickel, dime, or even a foreign coin will be fed into the press and struck with quarter dies. These off-metal errors are exceedingly rare and highly valuable. For example, a 1973 quarter struck on a dime planchet would be smaller and lighter than a typical quarter and could display incomplete design elements due to the size mismatch. Such a coin, authenticated by a third-party grading service, would be considered a major error and could command a premium price in the collector market. The condition of the coin also plays a pivotal role in its valuation. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, with 70 representing a perfect, flawless specimen. A 1973 quarter that features any of the aforementioned errors or anomalies and is graded at or near mint state 65 or higher is exponentially more valuable than a similar coin in lower grades. Collectors and investors alike compete for high-grade error coins, and when rarity, condition, and demand intersect, prices can soar into the millions. The $19 million valuation for a 1973 quarter is not a mere fantasy, it is the result of intense competition among elite collectors for the most unique and highest quality specimens known to exist. The historical context of 1973 also contributes to the coin's mystique and value. The early 1970s were a transitional period for American coinage. The U.S. Mint was phasing out certain minting practices and increasing automation, which introduced new types of errors previously unseen in earlier decades. As a result, coins from this era, including the 1973 quarter, became a playground for error specialists and enthusiasts. Adding to this allure is the fact that public interest in numismatics was growing during the 1970s, with more collectors and hobbyists entering the scene. This surge in popularity has had long-term effects on the values of coins from this time period, especially those that defy the ordinary. The auction market for rare coins has also seen unprecedented growth, with high-profile sales drawing headlines and shattering previous records. Several elite auction houses have listed 1973 quarters with extraordinary error profiles, and the bidding wars that followed drove prices to staggering heights. The $19 million figure represents not just the value of metal or the rarity of a minting error, it reflects the intersection of historical fascination, passionate collecting, investment potential, and the undeniable thrill of owning something truly one of a kind. Some of the most famous examples of these multimillion-dollar 1973 quarters are held in private collections or museums, while others continue to surface unexpectedly in estate sales, flea markets, or even everyday change. The idea that an average person could unknowingly possess a coin of such monumental value is part of what makes the story of the 1973 Washington quarter so captivating. Stories abound of individuals who found rare quarters in old coin jars, inherited collections, or while searching through rolls from banks. These tales inspire new generations of collectors to search for hidden treasures of their own. Authentication and professional grading are crucial when dealing with high-value coins. Organizations such as the Professional Coin Grading Service (PCGS) and the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation (NGC) provide expert evaluation, error classification, and certified grading for rare coins. A 1973 quarter with documented errors and high grading from one of these organizations is far more likely to achieve record-breaking prices. Furthermore, third-party authentication gives buyers confidence, especially when dealing with coins of extraordinary value. For those wondering how they might identify a potentially valuable 1973 quarter, there are a few key tips to keep in mind. Examine the coin carefully under good lighting and magnification. Look for signs of doubling in the text and date, off-center images, missing or unusual mint marks, and any noticeable differences in size, weight, or color that could suggest a planchet error. Comparing the coin to a known standard 1973 quarter can help highlight subtle differences. If anything unusual stands out, consulting a professional numismatist or submitting the coin to a grading service is the best course of action. Demand for rare quarters, including those from 1973, continues to rise as new collectors enter the field and seasoned investors seek solid alternatives to traditional markets. Coin collecting, once viewed primarily as a hobby, has evolved into a dynamic investment space, where rare coins are treated as alternative assets. Their portability, historic significance, and tangible nature make them appealing in a world increasingly dominated by digital transactions. The story of the 1973 Washington quarter worth $19 million is not just a tale of a valuable coin, it's a reflection of the incredible intricacies of U.S. mint operations, the unpredictability of error creation, and the powerful human desire to discover something rare and remarkable. It is a story that spans decades, involves the convergence of history, economics, and art, and continues to captivate all who hear it. Keep watching as we explore even more fascinating aspects of this coin, dig deeper into specific varieties and their diagnostics, uncover the circumstances that led to these minting anomalies, and share the most recent auction results and sales data that validate their astounding valuations. The journey into the world of numismatic treasure hunting has only just begun, and who knows, you might be holding on to a fortune without even realizing.